In the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and get started with the Benton County Commissioner race. We have Scott Johnson. He is unopposed. There is only one seat to vote for, but I'm glad he's really here. We did have a situation in another nearby community just 20 miles away where the candidate who was unopposed didn't show up for the form, and then there was a write-in vote who got elected. So thank you, Scott, for being here. So, good. We'll get started with the same questions that the other candidates had. Feel free to still grab notes and we can ask additional questions. His time is a little bit less since he's the only person, so for a minute and a half, summarize your personal background, experiences, and why you're running for Benton County Commissioner. Go ahead.
All right, again, good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Scott Johnson. As I look across the room, I believe I'm probably the commissioner for just about everyone in this room, so thank you for that opportunity. My interest in running for the county board stemmed back in 2020 with an open seat, and some of it that sparked that interest was I had served for 15 years on the Benton County Planning Commission, both as a member and as a chair of that commission. Born and raised here in Foley. I've been married for 32 years, my wife Carla and our 4 children. A little bit of my background, I do have an accounting degree. I worked as an accountant at Burnix Pepsi. I was the project coordinator for the Foley Intermediate School, the Foley Fieldhouse, and the ball fields. I've been a hog and poultry producer just a mile out of town for the last 38 years. Again, member and chair of the Planning Commission since 2005. And right now I'm just finishing my first 4-year term as your county commissioner, serving District 1 again, which serves the cities of Foley and Gilman and Granite Ledge Township, Maywood Township, Gilmanton Township, St. George Township, and Glendorado. That's a little bit about me.
Moving on, what are your top 2 or 3 priorities as a county commissioner serving the Foley area? Why and how did you select these?
Well, that's a really hard question. We've got so many great initiatives going on in the county. One major one that we have going on now is the county board has taken on the initiative of repairing and cleaning our existing county drainage ditches. The majority of these ditches, there are 12 located in the county, 6 of which are in my district. The majority of those ditches were established in the early 1900s. And again, these are county drainage ditches, not road ditches, so these are ditches that run through private property. And so this board has been very aggressive in trying to get them repaired, and we want to continue to maintain those. A couple other initiatives, we want to continue to work with department heads and our employees. We really want to move forward into a countywide tone of customer service. We believe very heavily that we are in the customer service business. We're also studying and working through a possible new government center. As you know, the county did purchase the old Foley High School site, and if we do move ahead with a government center, that's where that would be located. For me, it's a high priority since Foley is our county seat, and if we are going to do a government center, I believe strongly that county seat should be here in Foley. I want to continue to work on our 5-year road plan. Right now, our 5-year road plan shows about $50 million worth of investment into our county over the next 5 years. And as you well know, our broadband initiative is just about finished, and I want to continue to work with BEP and establish other relationships with our cities and our townships.
Thank you. The next question, if anybody in the audience has questions, feel free to bring them up here. The question would be, Benton County tax rate has been declining 67.1 in 2016 to 43.996 in 2024. While neighboring counties were still lower. Mille Lacs County is at 40.11, Stearns County is 40, and Sherburne County is 36.597. At the September 23rd Commissioners meeting, a proposed budget increase of 4.98%, or a rate increase of 46.52 was approved. That's not a percentage, it's a calculation on the per diem. And for the next minute, what activities of the county do you prioritize as you assist in the budgeting process? And do you support the county's tax levy for 2025 and why? For a minute.
I'll maybe start with the end of that question. I do support the proposed levy. We did end up at 4.98%. The county board went into budget discussions with very heavy feelings that we would be 5% or under. I believe we've accomplished that. As you're aware, a large portion of our property tax levy increase is in regards to wages and salaries and benefits, a little over $1 million. And on our county budget, that equates to approximately 5%. You mentioned the tax rate. To my knowledge, over the last few years, the combined tax rate, I believe, is only about 2.7% since 2015. So we are in the right direction. Part of the increase this year with that tax rate was, we're looking at valuation reductions. That's coming from sales data. That's something that's not necessarily in the county's control, but also our tax capacity is looking at shrinking just over 0.5%. So that's also something that's driving that tax rate. But I think we're in good shape. I think we're going to be set up to finalize our budget in December.
Thank you. The next question. This past year, the state legislature mandated new requirements for county and did not fully fund them. For a minute, what are your thoughts on any of these new mandates?
Unfunded mandates from the state of Minnesota are always a real treat. I can give you an example. To my knowledge, we have about 65 mandated programs in our Human Services Department, which drives about a $17 million budget out of our total proposed budget of about $69 million. Unfunded mandates are a big frustration for county boards across the state. We don't see a lot of increases in county program aid, although we did see an increase last year. Those numbers were 20 years behind. So a lot of those things from the state ends up getting thrown onto the county's shoulders to be able to take care of. And it's our job to work through the levy and the proposed taxes for that, even though the state is basically telling us what we're going to do. So it becomes a challenge, and we continue to work through those and really try to mitigate those costs. And I think that's why we really went after a 5% levy to try to keep that down as low as possible.
With the increasing violence in nearby communities, for the next minute, what are your thoughts on what Benton County can do for its citizens to keep them safe and healthy and help officers look at de-escalation techniques?
Benton County, I can speak this, I don't ever do this, but I'm going to do this now. Our board does support our police and our deputies, our sheriff's department. We try to back them as much as we possibly can, with, not just with dollars, but with equipment and the things that they need to do their job. They're there to obviously help keep the peace, protect all of us, and we will do what we can do to continue funding their efforts. Benton County is unique because, as most people know, Benton County runs over to the Mississippi River, so we deal with a lot of the things that go on in East St. Cloud. And so even though the majority of our county is very rural, we do deal with many things that go on in the western end of the county. Again, we'll do our part to support law enforcement, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Okay, thank you. This last legislative session passed a law legalizing recreational marijuana, with counties allowing one business per 12,500 residents. What are your thoughts on how Benton County should respond to that law?
Benton County is currently in very deep discussions with our planning and zoning areas, our county attorneys, our sheriff's office on how we're going to manage the cannabis. We've established, and we're actually just meeting on that today, as far as registration and licenses, and then how we're going to update our zoning ordinances. We're a little bit short on time here because as of January 1st, those licenses will be able to rock and roll. So the county is addressing it. Again, it's another item that the state has passed on to us to deal with. And so we're going to continue to work. It's not only county board, it's our auditor treasurer, it's our sheriff's office, it's our county attorney's office, and we've spent a lot of time and effort into trying to get this figured out.
Thank you. You alluded to this, and this question actually came from another forum in the neighboring county. The district you represent may be different from other districts in the county in their interest in land use, ordinances, eminent domain, safety, property tax, and rights. For the next minute, how would you vote in the decision-making process as to what's best for the district or the county as a whole?
I'm fully aware that I'm elected by the District 1 constituents, but I'm also fully aware that every vote that I take is a county-wide vote, along with every other county board member. So we take to heart what's going to happen county-wide when we're making votes that, again, affect county-wide areas. Typically, the votes we take aren't district-specific, and so it's very important that we get the information we need and understand what's going on county-wide. Commissioner Pop and I represent probably 90% of the geographical area of Benton County, and 85% of that land use is in ag of some form. But we also realize we represent the east side of St. Cloud, Sauk Rapids, and Sartell. So varying opinions as we make decisions on county processes.
Are there any other questions from the audience for the county race? One more that I have, you alluded to the increased cost for health insurance for employees. This question, with the increasing difficulty to attract and retain employees in the industry, for the next minute, what are your thoughts on how the county can be an employer of choice to attract and retain employees?
The county board, I think, has made a good effort. We want to pay employees the best amount of money that we can afford to pay them. That doesn't mean that we're going to be able to match employment opportunities in Anoka County, Washington County, etc. But we take a lot of pride in hopefully working with and establishing good relations with our employees. When I first got on the board, this activity took place before that, but we did approve the class and comp raises for our employees, and we're currently involved in a routine maintenance of class and comp on a yearly basis. We're taking approximately 1/3 of our employees each year and reviewing those positions and seeing what the market is saying is going on with that. We compare ourselves with 15 other counties statewide on what's going on with the market rates for employees. So we want to do what we can do to have employees stay and be retained here. Without the employees, we couldn't get the things done we need to do for our customer service vision.
Thank you. For 30 seconds, if re-elected, how would you ensure that you stay connected with residents and business owners so that you can adequately represent them and their concerns?
I take great pride in when people reach out to me, I make it a very top priority to return phone calls, text, emails. That's how I would want to be treated, and that's the way I want to do that. We've had those discussions even with department heads that would say, you know, nobody is expecting you to be sitting at your desk waiting for the phone call, but they certainly are respecting a response. And I think that's all something that we all need and would require. And so I'll continue to work to that best effort as I can. And if I don't have the answer, I will find it for you.
Thank you. And then the last question for your last minute here, why do you want voters to vote for you? Is there something else you want to tell us about yourself or your views that you haven't been able to share already?
All right, again, just with multiple initiatives that are going on that have started since I was able to join the board and have the privilege of serving there, I'd really like to continue on with those efforts. We've worked very hard, again, to establish relationships with our cities and our townships, move ahead with county-wide initiatives, continue to work with Benton Economic Partnership. You heard a little bit about that from Pam tonight. I think the county's well-placed in being able to move ahead, both in economic development, retaining employees. I mentioned before our ditch work that we're going to be doing in the ag areas, finishing up our broadband initiative. This county board took the $8 million of ARPA money and invested it back in the community. We put a little over $3 million into our broadband initiative. We've given multiple cities hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to move ahead into development. And so I want to continue those relationships and continue to solidify them and continue to keep constituents involved in the process.
Thank you. And that concludes the forum for the county commissioner. We want to thank Scott Johnson for being here. Let's give him a round of applause.